Hello and welcome to a bite-sized edition of the Last Word on Spurs. Have you ever heard that before on Last Word on Spurs? Bite-sized edition. What will that lead to? God, if you're listening to us for the first time, you can find us on iTunes. We're on Spotify, we're across all major audio platforms. We're, of course, on Twitter at Last Word on Spurs. We're on Facebook and Instagram too. And we're joined by, a panel that's made up a lot of our Champions League shows so far during the season. And that will continue here on Last Word on Spurs. Thank you so much, as always, to our watching audience here. Joined by, Crazy Trunner, Inspector, Runner. We will get there eventually. This was on the bingo card, was it? We've got the wonderful Lee McQueen. Lee, how are you, mate? Where was that going to go? Please save me.
Oh, Rickster, mate. How you getting on, fella? Boys, listeners, viewers. Wow, interesting. We are going back to Milan. I was hoping we was going to go to the Inter version, but obviously we're going to the AC version. So a massive, massive test. And I cannot wait. I absolutely love massive, big ties. This is a big, big tie. So really looking forward to getting into it, fella. Oh, he dropped
Absolutely.
off.
Joining us, lots of people calling this the dream. Have I gone? No? Have I gone? Can you hear me, guys?
No,
can you hear me? Yeah, good.
For the teenagers out there, Rick, you're currently like Norman Collier, who used to do this thing where he pretended where his microphone was cutting in and out. Ask your granddad, kids, Norman Collier's shtick of a microphone that didn't work. Showing me age. Carry on, Rick.
Thank you so much. Cracks has come around to you. Great to have you back on Last One on Spurs. How are you, my friend? You well?
I'm very, very well. And today's draw, Rick, just takes me to a date of the 5th of April, 1972. And Tottenham versus AC Milan in the UEFA Cup. And up steps one Steve Perryman, who didn't really score many goals and got 2 that night and took us through, and we eventually won. Can Tottenham recapture and bring back the spirit of Steve Perryman? Can someone step up and be Steve Perryman that night that's coming up for us in February or March of next year? Can someone go out there and score 2 absolute worldies like he did that night? Not you, Emerson Royal, but somebody else. Can you be Steve Perryman for the night? To dare is to do. It's the last 16 in Europe of Europe's elite, and we're in now. So you can flow, as Jason alluded to in the last show, you can go with your Spursy this, you can go with your Spursy that. You can be down the road in Woolwich and tell us about how well you're doing this year. Who have you joined in the next round? You haven't. It's us. Conte knows them. This is done. This is it, Rick. We're done. Someone will be Steve Perryman on March the 8th. Someone be Steve Perryman from 50 years ago. Please, I beg you.
Yeah, I'm interested in who's going to be around on February the 14th. I will come on to that. Good old Valentine's Day, taking a lot of people out of the way now. That's an awkward conversation away for many out there. For some, they won't actually give it a clue because it's, again, very, very commercial, very commercial. I'm doing a lot of disservice here now to a lot of shops out there that we've now just currently lost any opportunity to sponsor us. There you go, one of those things. Pleased to have him back on Last Word on Spurs. Apparently looks a bit upset from yesterday. I'm not sure about that. Always level headed. Got the wonderful Jason McGovern back. He's twice in a week, Jace, same as Lee. Jace.
I thought we were here to discuss getting India in the semi-final. What we're going to do with Kohli and Yadav and Jasprit Bumrah and that. I thought that's what we were discussing. You never told me this
tough,
was
mate. That's going to be a tough game, fella.
We're on a tough wicket and things like that. Used wicket. It's a great win against Sri Lanka, and I'm looking forward to the semi-finals.
If you are on, Jace, you should stay here for longer. We should get Forrest underway if you want to stay on.
No, it was. I think it is a good draw. They're a side that have a name and a history. I didn't want Bruges, I must admit. I think a lot of people were talking about, I'll get Bruges, but I wanted it to feel like a Champions League tie. But I think AC Milan, yes, they're Serie A champions, but I think from the group stage, probably all of us feared Napoli more than AC Milan. You looked at the 2 games with Chelsea; they didn't look anything particularly special. I presume Zlatan will have some kind of influence on the tie, but I think it's a tie that gives us a great chance to to progress. And am I sitting here saying we can win it? I'm not sitting there saying that. But with Liverpool playing Real Madrid, with Bayern getting PSG, you start to see a couple of the big boys drop out, and you just think, can you? If we make the right improvements in January, then there's no reason why we can't go deep in that competition for sure.
Now, it's cut football now, isn't it? To be fair,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Lee, let's get your instant reaction to that draw. I mean, listen, for Spurs, it always culminated from, of course, that 95-minute winner from Pierre Højbjerg. It meant Spurs did top the group as Group D winners. Frankfurt actually nearly popped us to the spot. But overall, Lee, when that came out, happy with it? I feel like we've done this conversation twice, I must add. We've obviously seen each other earlier. I know, repeating exactly something I said to you earlier.
Yeah, but no, I am happy with it. I mean, look, I wanted Inter Milan for the romance of Conte going back to Inter and all that sort of stuff, and playing against players that he made better, and maybe we could have nicked Bastoni on the way back for the return leg, that sort of thing. You know what I mean, Rick? But no, look, AC Milan is fantastic. I mean, I was lucky enough with my boys Nick and Colsey to go out to the San Siro for the famous Gareth Bale hat-trick game. We only said the other day, didn't we? We lost that game, didn't we? It felt like that we won it with the Gareth Bale was born that day type thing. It's quite interesting as well because Azza, do you remember the counter attack against AC Milan in the Champions League back in what was it, March 2011? It would have been Sanka around that time, and Az on the break with a cross to Peter Crouch to stick it in the back of the net. So, we've got a bit of more recent history as well as what Cracker's just talked about as well. So, look, I think I'm with Jace on this. I think you're in the Champions League to get these massive glamour ties. You're not in the Champions League. If we'd have drawn Bruges, everyone would have expected us to go through. The pressure would have been on Tottenham. We don't respond to that, in my opinion. I think we like the glamour ties. You think about, we drew Real Madrid. We had Harry Winks playing in midfield. He was an absolute well beater when we drew 1-1. I was in the Bernabeu that day. Fantastic game. So you look at them, and under the lights at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, the European nights, they're just magical. And I echo what Cracker said. Look, we've had a shock in the last 5 games. Really, our form in the league has been poor. We've lost three out of the last 5. But we're in the draw for the Champions League round of 16, and we haven't been able to say that for a couple of years. So we should celebrate that. And look, form at the moment, let's be honest about it. I know you come round to the others, Rick, as well, but form at the moment, AC Milan, they're a decent side. There's no doubt about that. They're champions of Italy. They're currently second in the table. They've only lost twice, scored 27 goals. They've only let in 14. I think they've lost 1 of their last 6 games. So they're playing really well. And you look at Spurs, I've just talked about it. We scored the same amount of goals as them, 27. We've let in 18. So our defence is creaking a bit. But we've lost 3 out of the last 5 in the Premier League. And, we're struggling a little bit. But what does all that matter when this tie is not being played until when? Well, someone just said earlier, February.
Those first days, 14th of Feb, and then March the 8th. Yeah.
By that point, obviously, Mr. Levy would have given Antonio Conte 300 million. Paratici and Conte would have spent that in January. Obviously, would have gone and got Guardiola and Bastoni, because why not? We're turning to City. So everything can change, can't it? Do you know what I mean? So look, jokes aside, I'm really pleased to be in the hat. I'm really pleased to get AC Milan. I'm happy that it's the home tie on the second leg. What I will quickly say is they have changed that, haven't they? The away goals situation don't mean nothing anymore. So away goals don't count. So it doesn't really matter on that side of things. So I think what you got to remember, and I'll put this out there now, is that realistically, you've got 8 games left, but you've actually only got to win 4. That's all you've got to do. If you win and don't lose the other games, you can even afford to lose them, to be fair, but as long as the margin isn't greater. But if you go and win 4 games and draw the rest, you win the Champions League. That's got to be a big incentive for the club to push on from now until then, and of course through the January transfer window.
No, I agree. Just to give you those dates again, as Lee referenced there. So that first game, as we know now, for all you lovers out there, February the 14th, Valentine's Day, with the return fixture being on March the 8th. So we will know exactly where Spurs are Well, what kind of what kind of March that we're in for? Gonna be a busy March.
Rick,
Go on, Crack.
you just speak to your significant other and you just say, "I've booked Milan for Valentine's Day," and
you ain't coming.
Other will flutter their eyelids and go, "Oh, that's so lovely," and you go, "Yeah, I may not have booked for you," and enjoy sleeping on the sofa.
I'm watching I'm a Celebrity. Get me out of here. There you go. There's your first one of the evening. Get that ticked off. Cracks overall. Listen, I think it is one of the better draws because, I mean, Milan have been, as the kind of reference said, they have been a bit less dynamic this season. But the way we're playing, listen, who knows what will be like in February, to be honest with you. I mean, Giroud, as Andy Costa would say, probably obviously scores against us. But Leao is probably not of the heights that he was at one time. And
Hold on. I'm not having that. Hold on. Did Sanchez score?
No,
he didn't.
Did Guendouzi score?
No,
he didn't.
Did Kolasinac score?
No.
Did Tavares?
No.
Did Payet?
No.
So
I'm
stop
taking these
coming
off
out
the
with this
bingo
crap
card, by
narrative.
the way.
It's Costa. It's Costa on the
crap.
phone. You know what he's like. It's Costa on the phone. It's Costa.
Yeah, listen, Rick, I've known him a million years now, and I love him like a brother. Stop listening to him. Stop listening. And you know how much I love Talk Sport and how much friends I have at Talk Sport, yeah? Stop listening to Talk Sport. I know you don't like him, Jace, but stop buying into this crap that you're being fed. I'm with Jason. Like, no, this doesn't have to be what everyone's told us that we are. It just hasn't. It really doesn't. Rick, look, yesterday we played well, but we lost. Yeah, I know we lost, but there is some ability in this team once you get over the halfway line. Yeah. I'll tell you what, Sonny, when he's on form, Richarlison, Kane, Kulusevski, Bentancur, there's 5 walk into that AC Milan team.
Madison, don't forget January transfer window. So Madison,
yeah. We've got variables involved now with a World Cup. Yeah.
How would you describe
transfer window?
Crackers, how would you describe Madison? What type of player is he? Rick?
What, Madison?
Yeah, what type of player is he, Rick?
I'll tell you what he is. He's a not a Conte player. So forget it. Because he's not a Conte player. We are not buying him. Forget it. Because Conte, why spend £80 million on Madison? Go and buy an £80 million wing back. But Conte does play. Conte's here. Get used to it. He ain't changing. So we've either got to go all in, like balls in with Conte and buy the players that he wants. Like, we've already bought one player that he doesn't play already because he doesn't suit him. He'll do the same with Madison. And Spencer's cost like 12 million quid over over a million weeks. So we're paying no money for him. You buy Madison, he ain't playing him. So don't bother. Go and cut your cloth. Go in January and spend £80 million on a wing back that suits his system. Get everybody back from the World Cup without injuries, and then go over there and go and win this game. Then you're in the last 8. Because, like I've said to you before, Rick, with the Champions League, you can put all the whistles and bells on it that you like, all the anthem and everything, and the advertising and the media that build it up what it is. Do you know what it is? It's a cup competition. It's nothing more or nothing less than the oldest cup competition in the world, the FA Cup. And sometimes, I'll tell you why it's an a cup competition, because we made the final of it a few years ago. Tottenham got no right to be making that final. No right when you're up against some of those teams. But we did, because we got a little bit of luck and a rub of the green and this and that. Yeah. It's a cup competition from here on in. Once you get in that last 16, it's a cup. Nothing more. Right. So forget all the circus that goes round it with the advertising. getting you to spend a million quid on whatever. It's a cup. So you've got every chance.
Yeah, I am trying to work out how a Champions League bite-sized show entered the January transfer window a couple of months early. I was not part of that either.
It's important, Rick, because if we
trying to get you to say lockpicker, Rick.
If we write the if we try to write 2 or 3 players, yeah, we've got a chance. We have got a chance. Like, I know some Arsenal accounts will be clipping this and putting me in some meme on their channel, and everybody going, the silly fat old guy that supports Tottenham said this a couple of months ago. Don't care. But you have a chance with the right couple of players and the players coming back from the World Cup unscathed. Yeah. We've got a chance.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris Callan, one of our own. Chris is looking forward to going back to the San Siro, as I'm sure Conte is, Coy is. Yeah, totally agree with that one. Rebecca says, are you conscious of the time? We are, Rebecca. That's why we are going to go for our... It will be our break of the show. I didn't say first break. It is the only break of the show for our listeners and audio. Take you into this break. You're going to hear a very funny anecdote from Jamie Weir, who was actually on last night. Wanted to give us a little voice clip of what it was like for him on the back of meeting Harry the day Spurs was drawn in the Champions League against AC Milan. And so that's great from Jamie. We're also joined by a whole host of very kind AC Milan podcasters who give us their views. That is Milan Weekly Podcast, Sempre Milan, and Milan Obsession, who give us their thoughts. Jason's thinking, what the hell is this show going? Don't worry, Jace, we're on track. We're going to get you away and whisk you away for love.
How did Davo get on?
Well, he won, mate. He won, so he's happy, wasn't he, Davo?
Have you heard from Davo?
Not since obviously your escapades on that bloody show. I'm still trying to get over them. I'm still getting therapy for those ones. Right, guys, just want to get some stats out at you. This is going to be a bite-sized Champions League show. We've done more on January transfer window here. This is I've got these 3 probably joining me for the panelist analysis to this. You don't get this when Hartman is here. He just answers the question straight. You lot, you're just unbelievable to control. And McGovern, you're the worst.
I said the words.
You just can't trust what comes out of his mouth. Right, okay.
8 minutes, mate, until I'm a celeb.
Yeah,
come on, mate.
Yeah, come on, get yourself on the move. Jace, Conte has won more matches in his all competitions against Milan than he has versus any other side in his managerial career. I can hear Costa telling me, shut up. Do you honestly feel confident, Jace, going to Milan? Do you think we'll get through this game or through the tie itself?
It's a winnable tie. There's definitely a winnable tie, but there's so much can change between now and February, isn't there? I mean, we've just gone through a period where we were going along really well, and 4 injuries hit all at once, and that derails you. That can happen again. It can happen to Milan again. There's so much football. I think the one thing that I looked at with the draw that more was my concern was who we're playing around the draw. So I think the first leg on a Tuesday night is so that our Premier League game will stay on the Saturday is Leicester away. And my first thought was Leicester away, forget where their league position is. I think we all think Leicester are better than their league position, but that's the type of away game where you're thinking Tottenham will have to pick their best team at Leicester on a Saturday game. It could even become the Saturday lunchtime game. And then you'll pretty much go straight to Milan. The second side of that would be you're coming home on the Tuesday night. You've got 4 days to prepare for a Premier League game then, and that Premier League game's at home to West Ham. So it's awkward at one end, good at the other. And I think for the second leg, we go to Wolves on the weekend, play Milan on the Wednesday, and it's Nottingham Forest at home straight afterwards. So that end of it, I think when I look at the balance, I think those 4 fixtures, Wolves away, Forest home, Leicester away, West Ham home. Probably one of those is the awkward one. Is Leicester that where the Champions League game kind of affects your lineup? You know, do you really want to be resting 1 or 2 players for that Leicester game? It's a tight turnaround, but hopefully, if you get a decent enough result, you got recovery time for West Ham, and then the second leg, straight on the second leg, you've got Forest on the Saturday at home. And let's be honest, if you could handpick a game to have straight after a Champions League game, you're going to be picking the team that's bottom of the league at home, aren't you? So it's worked out quite well. You sooner have that than Newcastle away or Leeds away or something like that.
John, I'm really glad, Jason. Yeah, I'm really glad, Jason, you brought those up, because I think it's always key and good to know what's in and around you when those fixtures do drop. So I really appreciate that. Adichie says on the screen here, half my confidence is because of Conte's record against AC Milan. Played 14, won 10, drawn 3, lost 1. I'm sure we'll sort that out for Antonio, don't worry. Joke, we'll be fine. Another one really got that.
Let's not forget Antonio's record in the Champions League. He's better with Tottenham than it is with Inter or Chelsea as well.
Already.
Yeah, and Steve Kent, sorry, Craig, Steve Kent says there as well, Chelsea beat them home and away.
Yeah, I just want to come on to that.
Stages. Yeah, so there is a comparison at the moment to where they are. I mean, but I've read the stats out earlier.
Chelsea had 10 men away from home for a lot of the game as well.
They did. They did. Yeah. They're scoring pretty good goals. 27 goals they've scored in 13 games. That's decent return.
Yeah, Crack's just on that with Chelsea. 5-0 aggregate over the combined fixtures. I mean, and with regards to Chelsea, as we see at the moment, I mean, under Potter, the last few games, they just haven't quite looked clicking. I mean, do you think, based on what we've seen with Chelsea and obviously Spurs now against Milan, we should really have enough to beat them over the course of 2 legs? When we listen, as Leah said, we've got the January window also to obviously add into that, where you think we will do a little bit of business potentially.
Yeah, but that was Chelsea under Tuchel, but probably understood European football a little bit better than Potter does. And Potter understands Premier League maybe a little bit more than Tuchel did. So we've got the perfect blend in Conte of somebody that understands what it takes to beat an Italian team. And Milan may not have so much of an idea of what it takes to beat a Premier League team. So, there you go. As Mario's just said, because of Conte, drawing an Italian team was ideal. He knows what's going through them players' heads. He understands the dressing room. He knows the pressures. He'll get into the press conferences and he'll know the right things to say in the press conferences ahead of the game. He will, a week before these ties start, he'll ramp up the pressure. He'll be talking to the players and he'll be saying to them, when you go to the San Siro, and 1 or 2 have already been, expect this. Don't be fazed by this. You will be facing this. This might happen. That might happen. He'll give them players a good insight. So what it now comes down to is Conte will be very good at preparing the players. Okay. Can we get to those games in February and March and not have players that go to header back to their goalkeeper and it comes off the shoulder? This is what it's all about. Will we have a wing back that can actually pass a ball or make a no-look pass that finds somebody and doesn't go out for a goal kick? This is what it will come down to again, Rick. We are boiling down to the lowest common denominator now. Yeah, the club's ready. Conte's ready. Have we got the players that are ready to step up and go into the cold? It'll be a cauldron out there. It'll be a cauldron at home. Now you've got to have the players. And again, I say over to you, like Mr. Levy and the board, because January, you've got a good chance here. Get a couple of ready-to-go, box-fresh players that we can bring on for that game that know what to do, that don't make those silly mistakes. That's all we are away from this now, of actually doing something, is some personnel that don't make mistakes. Conte will be ready for it. Fans will be ready for it. Are those players ready for it? Do you trust those current players? All of them, every one of them.
That's an easy answer in it at the moment.
Yeah, I don't. I really don't. But January, we've got a chance to actually bring some in that will be, if you're prepared to spend the money.
Yep.
And Oil Boy won't be one of them, please.
No.
Right. Guys, we look
Well, I would just quickly say on that. I mean, I'm just looking at some of the stats here. Right, Crouchy stuck it in the back of the net from an Azza cross on the 80th minute back in the day in 2011. We beat them 1-0. We had the likes of Defoe, Modric, and Pavlyuchenko on the bench. We started.
It's actually crazy. Yeah,
it's bizarre that Modric was on the bench.
Yeah, it must have been carrying an injury. It must have not been fit.
No, Modric came on for Van der Vaart on the 62nd minute. But anyway, the point being is like we had 7 attempts on target that night. In the 0-0, the fixture beforehand, in the 0-0 with AC Milan, we only had 2 attempts on target. That's more like the Tottenham we see now, isn't it? Couple of attempts. We gave him the first half, I think it was. But again, Genius on the bench, Defoe, King was a substitute that day. Bale was on the bench. So you look at some of the names. I know that they've gone on to do different things, and some of the names there compared to some of the names that we've got on there now. We can go out there and we can definitely win that tie. And here's the thing for me. You talk about people knowing European football and all that sort of stuff. All of our viewers and listeners know football really, really well, love it. The reality is you don't have to go out and win in AC Milan. You just in the San Siro. You just need to avoid defeat. And actually, you can get beaten, but you've got to win the home games. Your home games have to be the ones that you win and you pick up the points in. And that's where you need to have a look at it. And that's what I was saying earlier, right? You've got 8 games left, right, in the Champions League. If you go, you've got 7 games.
7.
You go all the way, and out of them 7 games, you only need to win 4. Like that's the reality. So there's a big chance if set up right and set up in a way. That's why I love what you were saying earlier, Jace, about like the games coming around that, because it's all about prioritization. And Crackers, what you were saying about the squad and what we can trust is, the fact of the matter is, if you rock up at Leicester away with some of the players that we've got in our squad at the moment that are falling over themselves, or Bambi on ice or whatever, you're going to have to start making a choice between, are we going to put our eggs in the Champions League basket or in the Premier League basket? You can't lose more than 6 games in the Premier League if you're going to try and challenge for the title. That's gone. That's definitely gone this year already, in my opinion. So top 4 definitely hasn't. Don't get me wrong, but Arsenal win their game in hand. They're 11 points. That'll make you feel sick. And some of the Arsenal fans in here might be loving it. But they're 11 points in front of us. I still think that they will drop off. But City are not going to go and drop 11 points, are they? On Spurs. So that side of things, you're in the Champions League by that point, and you're consolidating the top 4 space at that point. You've got to throw everything into the Champions League, haven't you? And by the way, if we're serious about trying to win a trophy, and I know Conte came out and said yesterday in his post-match presser that we're miles off it. If we are serious about winning a trophy, Wednesdays are now a massive game. We've got to get through the Carabao Cup tie, and if we go on a run, when's that cup final, Jace? That'd be February time, wouldn't it?
Usually the end of February.
So all of a sudden, you could have a situation where you've got Champions League last round 16, coupled with them Premier League fixtures that you talked about, coupled with a week after cup final. If we get there, like we've done in the last couple of seasons. So this is why it shouldn't be daunting. This is why it shouldn't be, oh my God, this is terrible. This should be celebrated. That is the.
Do you know what, Lee?
This is what we should be looking forward to.
You know what?
Come on, let's challenge ourselves.
If we make the final of that League Cup at the end of Feb, and we're still in the tie with Milan, if we've gone over there and got a 1-1 draw, or even if we've nicked it 1-0 or something, the club will throw that final to make sure they go through the next round on March the 8th. They will do, Rick. That's the realities
you
of
reckon,
it.
Even with Conte, they're so desperate to win something. You reckon, really?
I think they'll throw it. Not throw. Like, maybe throw it's a bit too strong, but I think they might actually put more importance on making sure the players are right for the second leg to go into the last 8 over and above the League Cup. Because the League Cup, it is a cup.
I think towards the player, you're right. I think the players
from going through versus winning a cup is day and night. And that's the realities of football. And that's not give Enoch a kick up the arse thing. That's all clubs. All clubs at this level will go, well, if we get through to the last day, that's going to pay us X. If we win the League Cup, it'll be millions.
Poch used to say, didn't he, Crack? To be fair, Poch used to say a lot about the big trophies, and he said, and he used to get criticised a lot with making changes. Didn't he play Son as a wing back once, and didn't he play Vorm in goal for one of the semi-finals, or I can't remember if it was FA Cup semi-final. Well, he got a criticism for it, but he was always up for whether that was a club or Poch. But Poch used to always come out and say it's all about the big prizes, it's all about the Premier League and the Champions League, and to be fair, we had 2 title challenges and we got to Champions League final with that attitude. So look, maybe that will happen. Look, it's a long way off, but I think from our perspective, we've now got a real foundation and a concrete base, if you like, to be able to go on and push on. And it will be at the club's door, unfortunately, if we don't go and push on in January and beyond, because we've got everything that we need. We've got a world-class manager, and we're in the final 16 of the Champions League. We're still hovering around the top 4, top 3 or whatever. There'll be a couple of drop-offs and whatever as well. So, we've got it all to play for. For me, I think it's massively exciting. Yeah, some of the football's been a bit shocking. Let's be brutally honest about it. And actually, it's been disappointing. You shouldn't be dropping points at home to Newcastle.
We just can't keep giving.
Don't give me Newcastle here and whatever. Newcastle were bottom of the league a year ago. Are you joking me? They ain't even spent any money yet. They've only spent what they spend 60-odd million on a striker that don't even play at the moment because he's injured. They signed Botman. Like they spent a couple of 100 million, whatever it might have been, 120 million quid. Not massive amounts. They're bloody third. But
I think again,
already. They haven't. We've just underperformed in the last 4 or 5 games because of horrendous defending, and also the fact that we've got massively influential players all out at the same time. If we had a fully fit squad the whole season so far, these results would have been different. And don't get me wrong here, so I'm going on a bit of a rant. We had our best ever start to a Premier League season ever. That was
3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago.
Come on,
Lee, let me compound your thoughts even further and say to you that had Dele Alli not blown up personally, we would also have a Dele Alli. If Lo Celso actually fancied it, we'd have a Lo Celso. And if Ndombele fancied it, we'd have an Ndombele as well. When you look at it like that,
I'm done.
Right, Jace. But listen, you can't tell me that he is not a fantastic footballer when he fancies it. And that's the caveat. When he fancies it. Now imagine that Spurs squad now, if everybody was fit, with a Lo Celso, with an Ndombele, and with a Dele Alli. Honestly, that's how far away we are. So what we've got to do is we've got rid of Dele Alli. We have to just wipe our mouth of Lo Celso. We have to wipe our mouth of Ndombele. And do you know what? We just got to dip in the pot and go and pay to get those types of players again. So,
can I just say, Jason's face cracks. It looks like you've just told him that we've been demoted to the Europa League. He looks so sad after that.
But that's facts. That's facts. Yeah. When Ndombele fancies it,
listen,
I'm just thinking, in comes Adama Traore and Tyrone Mings on loan.
Ryan Nelson, mate. Ryan Nelson and Zaha, isn't it? But that's the reality, isn't it?
Yeah,
Harry, what do you need to push on for the top for the top 4 of the title? I need some quality signings. Here's Ryan Nelson and here's a bit of Louis Zaha. I mean, you couldn't make it up. That's the reality, right? I don't think we're there anymore. I think we're in a massively different space. So look, I'm really optimistic. Look like Jamie was yesterday. I'm optimistic. Dave the plumber.
Cracks, Dave the plumber.
Cracks.
But I don't want to.
I'm like Jamie last night, Rick. Quickly, I'm optimistic because the fact of the matter is that we're right in the mixer, and that's where you want to be. Stop everyone worrying about what might happen. Let's just embrace the fact that we're.
Yep.
I think Adrian said it earlier. Adrian Schroeder in the comments. Fixture congestion is a sign of good things. You want to be playing games at the highest level. And we're playing at the highest level in February. Have that.
Just on that, Macca, what makes me laugh is everyone goes, oh, look at all these fixture congestions. We get out of it by March. Everyone's like, oh, we've got nothing to play for. What do you want? It's like, you can't please everyone. It makes me laugh. Oh, how are we going to fit in that City away fixture? Like I'm worried about it now. I couldn't care less. It will come back in at some point, but don't let it worry you about the fixture congestion. Honestly, I just think, summary, boys. Let's do a summary very quickly. Lee, overall, listen, we've discussed the draw. Back us to go through over the course of the 2 legs.
Yeah, look, I think it's going to be tough. I think by the second half of the season, see what I'm going to do here, by the way. By the second half of the season, we are going to be absolutely flying because in the first half of the season, just like first halves of the games, we've been stuttering a little bit. So second half of the season is going to be amazing. But look, I mean, I think if we give them a first half lead, like we've been doing the last 4 or 5 games, Sporting, Newcastle, Man United, the list goes on, Liverpool, Marseille. I mean, you can't just keep giving teams 1-0, 2-0 head starts. Bournemouth, nightmare. So we've got to cut that out. And if we do, and we start playing well, I mean, Kulusevski came back yesterday, lads, just quickly. Absolute, what was he, 80 seconds, Rick, you said? And he's got an
82 seconds. 82 seconds.
It's a game changer for us. Absolute game changer. So, yes, we can go through. Just remember to manage the game in Milan and beat them back at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. We go through. Simple as that. Sorry, Crackers, that's one of yours. But look, simple as that. Boom, we're through to the quarterfinals. I'm back up.
Yeah, Mac up. We're going to see you Wednesday night for Forest. Cracks has got annual leave booked for Wednesday. He's back with us on Saturday. It's the nature of his shows at the moment. Everyone's. We're trying to get everyone a bit of time off. Jason looks so disappointed. He's back for Wednesday as well. He's delighted. Look at that face.
I'm going to be on your screens more of a Matt Hancock in the next 2 weeks, isn't I?
I mean, we won't get you into bugs on here, Rich, just so you know, mate. We won't do that to you. I mean, it could be tempting, but we wouldn't do that to you, mate. But overall, Rich, listen, let's get your thoughts with regards to, that draw we had today. That currently AC Milan sitting 3 points behind. What are they now? I think they're 3 points behind the top in terms of the league. And again, for them, listen, I think they're looking forward to it. I mean, we had some audio previews. They're actually really looking forward to Spurs being a glamour tie for them. So I think they're looking forward to it. Arguably, we should too. Back us over 2 legs, Cracks.
Yeah, I do, Rick. I can't. It's an itch I've got to scratch because DS in the comments has made a really good point. If we didn't get rid of, there you go. If we wouldn't have Decky and Bentancur, if we'd have kept Ndombele, Lo Celso, and Ali. So it just shows you, doesn't it? It's sliding doors moments, and one of those may pop up and be the hero in them ties. So it's going to be tough, Rick. It's the last 16 of the best in the best continent on earth for football. So
and we're in it.
But we're in it. We are in it. So look, there's so many variables and factors still to be played out here. With the World Cup, how many players do AC Milan get back from the World Cup unscathed? Who do they buy in January, if anyone? Who do we get back from the World Cup unscathed? Who do we go out and buy? Because where we are now to where we could potentially be, both us and Milan in February, it's day and night. It's a million miles away. They say a week's a long time in politics. Hello, try a week in football. It really is. So at the moment, you just can't call it, Rick. You can't call it. The club might get a bump on the head in January and all of a sudden drop 200 million quid on 3 players that we get in. And then the landscape's completely changed. But then we might get to February and Harry Kane, God forbid it doesn't happen, has broken his leg. Kulusevski's injured. Son's still not right. This has happened. That's happened. Royal gets worse. Dyer gets worse. And then you get to the game and you go, oh, my God, we are really in trouble here. So I think, ask me on February the 13th, the day before that when we're flying out there. That's the only time you can actually say with any sort of, amount of confidence what may or may happen. So yeah, there you go. Italy's not in the World Cup, so half of Milan's squad's not going.
Yeah. What I'm quite worried is we're meant to be finishing the show on the high. The more we're going to go on this, we're ending up going the other way here. That's the only worry. I mean, it sounds like based on that, though, we might have a midfielder Harry Winkston and Ndombele with Emerson Royale wing back.
At the moment, it could have been worse. It could have been a worse score.
Yes, it could have been worse. Yeah. Absolutely. I think
Tottenham, I would back to beat anyone, but I'd also back to lose to anyone as well. That's where we are at the moment. So. Yeah. It just needs a little bit more Conte magic sprinkled, and it just needs a couple of checks to be written out, and we've got every chance. We have got every chance. But as fans, you've always got to live in hope. You have to, because as I said before, this is a cup competition, and in cup competitions, strange things happen. So may the gods be with us, Rick.
Peter Rainey says, if Cracks was making sense until he said Royal gets worse. Surely not. Right. Cracks, thank you so much, mate. Listen, absolute pleasure. Cracks back on. Cracks is back on us on Saturday night for instant reaction for Spurs versus Leeds. Spurs' final game before we wrap up for the World Cup for post-match analysis. Lots more shows to bring you. Jace, to close it with you, I want to ask you a question from one of our listeners here. It was asking the question around, I think Richard Beards put it in. I think I will try and find it. Essentially, when do you mark the second half of the season? Is that when the actual World Cup starts or just after? And I will try and find that question. Jay's thoughts on that, and overall happy with the draw from today.
Say that again. What about the second half?
Yeah, I'm now just trying to find the question, Leah. I don't know if you can see it on your screen there. I'm just trying to find it. It was here. It's from Richard Walters. Richard says, where do you mark the second half? Oh, sorry. Where do you mark the second half of the season? After 19 matches or after the World Cup?
For me, I think you do it after the World Cup. I mean, we've played one more than most in the Premier League already, haven't we? But for me, it feels like the second half of the season will start straight at the end of the World Cup for me. I think AC's a tie that we're more than capable of going through. And I think we'll definitely be in the top four come the end of the season.
Blimey. Look at that positive from Jason. What a way to close it. I'm going to go leave for the positive.
Nothing I've seen in the first half of the season makes me think we're not going to be in the top four.
Wait till Wednesday.
I mean it.
Joke.
I mean it.
Jace, who's your top four for the jungle? Who's the last four left in the jungle? Now, I'm just trying to anger him, Rick. I'm just trying to get him to swear live on air.
Just keep telling him Ndombele's going to come back. That'll finish him off.
Yeah, I mean, that's been bad enough, thanks.
Yeah, don't put him through that. Right, guys, we are going to let you go. It was bite-sized as promised from the wonderful Lee McQueen. Lee, mate, we're going to see you Wednesday night for Forest. Thank you so much.
It was a bigger bite than Jaws.
From the wonderful Jason McGovern. Look at him, found his sense of humour. Jace, thank you so much, mate. We're going to see you Wednesday night. Appreciate it, bud.
Cheers, fella. Right.
Thank you, mate. There you boys. Shut the lights. There you go. The lights are out in the McGovern household. Cracks, thank you so much, mate. We're going to see you on Saturday. And thanks so much as always, Cracks. Appreciate it, mate.
Nice to see you got your laptop back. Little bit of a private in-joke there, Rick.
Yeah. Carry on. Christ. What a bloody day this has been. And none of that either going on. God, my wife's there will be divorces after this. God, I'll be doing it from the shed come Wednesday night. Right. From the wonderful Mr. Cracknell, from the superb Jason McGovern, from the wonderful Lee McQueen, the audience thinking, what the hell has happened to that bloke? As always, please keep safe, keep well. Go and enjoy I'm a Celebrity. And as always, come on, you Spurs.